We are fortunate today to have Ms. Donna Jones giving our closing remarks for this afternoon. Donna Jones is an active advocate for the spina bifida community. She grew up in the U.S. Pacific Territory of Guam, where there was limited access to healthcare and accommodations, but an amazing exposure to people from many different cultures. It was a melting pot in the truest sense, inspiring a lifelong desire to create openness and inclusion. She gravitated towards politics and public policy and has worked on presidential, congressional, and local campaigns. She recently testified before Congress on behalf of the Spina Bifida Association. And when she talks about the experience, she says, "It was one of the greatest honors of my life." As a reminder, we will try to answer all of your questions. Please type your questions into the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a very long day, and I hope that you've enjoyed yourself. I know that it's been a wonderful experience for me. It's been a long time since I've been able to attend a Spina Bifida Education Day. And even at the age of 44, it brings me so much joy to see how much has changed, how much doctors have learned about our condition, and the new treatments that are available to us. And I had prepared this very nice speech. I was going to keep it nice and short. And I was telling my mother that I had been asked to give these closing remarks, and she said, "But did you prepare them?" I said, "Yes, I've got everything ready to go." And she goes, "But why did you do that? You always speak so well when you do it just speaking from the heart." And I said, "Well, because I've never done a closing speech like this before. It's very important to me. I don't know who's going to be on here because we're Zooming." She said, "I think you should just speak from the heart." And as I'm watching these presentations, as I'm going through each and every one, and it's having such a profound effect on me and my life as a person with spina bifida, I realized, you know what? That speech is not going to help me at all, because what I have just learned today is going to benefit my life so much. And I'm so thrilled that there was so much conversation about independence and how to be a better advocate, both as a parent and then for children, teens, and adults with spina bifida. And I know, listening to the presentations today, that as a person with spina bifida, as a woman with spina bifida, there's a lot of information in there that makes you just sit back and need to take a deep breath and think about all this news that's coming across to you. And a lot of it is scary, and a lot of it is concerning, and a lot of it just makes you pause and go, what does the future hold for my child with spina bifida, or for me with spina bifida? So after 44 years, let me tell you, please take a deep breath. It is going to be wonderful. Your child or you're going to have a wonderful life, because I have had a really good life as a person with spina bifida. I love who I am as a person with spina bifida, and I embrace that. Did it take a very long time to get there? Yes, it absolutely did. And the hardest time was as a child, as I was very, very sick, as I spent a lot of time in the hospital with surgeries and just random stuff that I did to myself, like not wearing socks in the pool and getting a pressure sore. Life was really, really hard as a child. And I was picked on a lot, bullied quite a bit. But looking back on it now, it made me a really tough person, both mentally and emotionally. And I think that that is something that is a good thing about people with spina bifida. We're so tough. Life is hard, but life is hard for everybody. And it does compound it when we're constantly being fed so much information that can sound negative, or that can sound like it is one obstacle after another, after another, after another. But what you need to realize is this is our life. This is our normal. And to be able to get to a point where we can look at it and embrace it and say, now what can I do to make my life as happy as possible, as rewarding as possible? What steps can I take? That's really where you find peace, and where you find that life is going to be really, truly rewarding. And that's where I found it for me. Let me try that again. Where I found it for me was later in life, because I did not grow up in a world that was accessible to me. The Americans with Disabilities Act was passed after I graduated from high school. I grew up in a completely able-bodied world. I did not have friends with spina bifida. The only times I saw anybody with a disability was when I would go to yearly clinic checkups. And it was not until 2004 when I found out about the Spina Bifida Association of America that I actually got to go to a conference in Washington, D.C. and meet adults with spina bifida and see them living a life like mine, and sometimes lives completely different from mine, and being able to talk to people about that and share those experiences. Because I led a very sheltered life. I had wonderful parents who loved me very, very much, but they took care of everything. They did all my doctor's appointments. They cathed me until I was 9 years old, until a nurse said, "Are you crazy? This child needs to learn how to cath herself." I didn't learn to drive until I was 25, and my family went out of town, and I snuck away and got my driver's license. I didn't go away to spend the night at friends' houses very often. And because of it, I didn't take a lot of responsibility for my health and well-being. And there were a lot of negative repercussions to that. And in the end, it made life a whole lot more difficult for me. And so when we talk about having a fulfilling life as a person with spina bifida, or for your child with spina bifida, or how to advocate on behalf of yourself or your child with spina bifida, it starts as early as possible. When you think about your child, when do you expect a child to learn how to make a bed? Whatever age that is for you, make sure your child with spina bifida starts making their bed. Make them bring you the dishes after dinner. Make them set the table. Make them help you clean the yard. You have to understand that you as parents set the ground rules for your child's independence. You set the ground rules for how they'll be advocating for themselves. And you're really the starting point. For those of you who have spina bifida, make your bed. Do the dishes for your parents. Do your own laundry. Because in order to live a fulfilling life, you have to be able to do the things that everybody else does. That's life. And it's a little emotional for me, because I think about how I could have been a better advocate for myself had I taken better care of myself, had I learned to cath earlier, had I gotten on a better bowel regimen earlier. I probably would have had a different life as far as health outcomes. And so that's okay, because I just had to learn the hard way. And so when you're sitting in your appointments, please allow your child to ask questions. Please expect them to ask questions. Please make them a part of the program, because this is going to be their normal and this is their life. So it has to be something that they embrace. Life has to be something that we embrace and that we love. And if we allow that to happen, then we get to lead a really rewarding life. My life was very different from the two other adults that they had. Please forgive me, I've just completely forgotten their names, but the two gentlemen who spoke ahead of me, my life was very different from them. And so I'm so glad that you all get to see this different perspective. I didn't go to college. I had a father who never graduated from school, and he said, if you don't want to go to school, Dad supports you, but you're gonna come home and work. And if you wanna go to college, Dad supports you. So I went off to college, and then I got sick, and then I got well and went back to college, and it was this vicious cycle. And finally I called him and I said, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, that's fine, come home. And I immediately got a job. So everything that I have done in my life, I did on my own from hard work. There was no bachelor's degree to back it up. There was no certificates of education to back it up. I graduated high school and I went to work, but it taught me how to work really, really hard. And I think that that was School of Hard Knocks is what he called it. And that was a wonderful lesson for me. And I realize that I am jumping all over the place, and I apologize for that. Probably should have spoken or stayed to my remarks, but I just can't tell you enough how it is going to be a wonderful life for either your child with spina bifida or you with spina bifida. But you have to find a life that fulfills you, whether that's going to school, whether that's getting a job, whether it's getting married. It's up to you. When I grew up, I went to a private school. And again, as I mentioned, there was no Americans with Disabilities Act. So I just kind of got thrown into physical education. And if I exercised, I did. If I didn't, oh, well, that's life. That's how private school went. There was no IPE for me. I just struggled. But one of the things was I never got to really partake in sports. There wasn't any sort of adaptive sports program for me. And now there's all these adaptive sports for people. And I didn't get into exercising till I was way into my 30s. And 2 years ago, I moved from Kentucky, where I was living, to California, where I am now, because I had decided to pursue breaking a U.S. women's bench press record. Lots of people had told me that that was impossible with spina bifida, that people with disabilities shouldn't be lifting heavy weights, that women shouldn't be lifting heavy weights. And I'd never been the type of person who let anybody tell me what I was or wasn't going to do. I had to find out for myself. And I just wanted to know what my body was capable of doing, because I had found this new joy in working out. And now that I have moved here, I've learned how to play wheelchair tennis. I've gone hand cycling. I now own an all-terrain wheelchair that I take hiking into the canyons of LA. And I've competed in 2 bench press competitions. And about a month ago, I injured my shoulder, and the doctors have basically told me that I'm going to have to stop bench pressing, that if I want to keep my body whole and healthy, that I've just got to stop lifting such heavy weights and protect this shoulder injury that I have. And one of the things that I'm very grateful for being a person with spina bifida is that when he gave me that news, I just took a deep breath and said, okay, because I'd learned to be resilient. I'd learned to take bad news and say, this is the way it is. What's next? And I'm grateful for that, because I think that had I just moved my life completely to California 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden had it all taken away from me without any other opportunity to have failed or to not be able to succeed at something I wanted, I don't know how I would have been able to take that news. And immediately I thought about, well, what's next? Well, what's next is I'm going to keep exercising. And next year, I am going to take a 60-mile hike through the country roads of Spain with my sister and 49 other people with disabilities and non-with disabilities, as we hike on a religious pilgrimage in Spain. And that's what my new training is now. That is what my new goal is, because I am choosing to find something else more rewarding in my life now that this other dream has come to an end. And it's resiliency, and it's knowing that life is wonderful and that I'm going to succeed now at something else. I will get this done. But before that, I have to see all of my doctors. I've had to make sure that my shoulder can take the training involved in getting ready for this trek, to make sure that I know how to cath and have a bowel regimen along the way. There's so many processes that need to be done in order for me to achieve this journey next June. And so I want parents, please, to think about, if your child is going to go on great adventures or just go spend the night at their friend's house, what do they need to be able to do for themselves so that that can happen. Because as life progresses, they're going to have to do all these things that their able-bodied counterparts do on their own. And if they're not able to do it, then how will they be able to have a successful life? And I really, really encourage parents to think about that, that if my child wants to do these things for themselves, what do they need to do to get it done? It's been a really good life for me so far, and I can't wait to see what life has ahead of me. And I very much would like to take the opportunity to thank the Spina Bifida Association of America for the wonderful opportunities they've given me. I served on their national board for 6 years and made some really great friends thanks to them, but they've also given me this opportunity to speak to all of you. And again, I realize that there's a lot of information out there for all of us that's very overwhelming and sometimes just seems like it is cups empty. It's not even half full, it's just cups empty. And so I really encourage you to please reach out to those of us who have spina bifida, who are adults. You can find us, we're all over social media. We're here for you, both if you are a young person with spina bifida or you're a parent with somebody with spina bifida, and talk to us and let us be of help to you, because it's going to be okay and life is going to be wonderful with all the bumps along the way, with all the surgeries, with all the oopsies. It's still going to be a wonderful life available to you and your family and your child. I know that I'm living my best life because of the choices that I have made. And I look forward to continuing my independence, but more importantly, I look forward to continued help because I'm now taking care of myself and doing the things that I need to do that I didn't do as a child. I take a much more active part now in keeping my weight under control, exercising as much as possible. I have a total bowel regimen that works for me most of the time. I cath more than they usually tell you to do. And I know that I'm rambling now, but it's just because I'm so excited. But I want to thank all of you for taking the time for being here. There's such a huge group of participants. I saw 48 at one point. And just know that there's lots and lots of us out there that are leading successful, happy lives, and that our normal is a wonderful normal. And I hope that if there's anything that I can do for any of you, that you'll reach out to me, because I'm definitely here. But take a deep breath and smile and realize life is wonderful and we're going to have a great life. Thank you to all of our sponsors. I'm very grateful and definitely love that we've partnered with these sponsors. You mean a lot to us, and thank you also for being here. I know that a couple are participating, and I wanted to thank you for that. It's been a great honor to talk to you all today. Thank you for allowing me to ramble, though.
And you are not rambling at all, Donna. Thank you so much. It was just so great to hear you, and your experiences is just so encouraging. And we had also someone, you know, so many of us are thanking you for just for your words. It's just, I feel like I can't really think of anything to ask because you covered everything. And I think you just did such a nice job of just, you know, wrapping up the day super nicely. So I did want to just remind everyone that we were going to put an evaluation form in the Q&A box. Because we want to know what you think about the day. So please, please, please take a couple moments. It's not too long. It's not too painful. It's a Zoom. It's a SurveyMonkey survey. And Donna, you too.
I will, I promise.
And while people are taking a look at that, I did just have like a quick question for you, Donna. And it's, I think, you know, you did touch on it, like in terms of, you know, what are some of the things that you did when you were younger or that your parents made you do? Like making the bed, etc. If you recall, did your parents ever have any kind of hesitation about having you do these things, or was it just very matter of fact? Or do you recall how much prodding they had to do, and was that okay?
Well, see, and that's one part of me was thought maybe I should have held on to part of the speech a little bit. It's so because I think that I was very careful in the way that I spoke about my parents. But in any case, my parents did everything for me. I didn't do anything for myself at all. They made the bed for me. They fed me. They washed the dishes. They did the clothes, all my clothes, so that when I was 18 and went off to college, I was just thrown into, oh my God, how do I do any of this? And so I had to learn how to wash my clothes, and I had to learn how to wash the dishes and make my bed. And, you know, unfortunately now at the age of 44, I absolutely despise making the bed, but I also like the way it looks made better. So that's the reason why it gets it done. But I had to learn to do everything as an adult. I never learned how to do it as a child. And so, again, that's why I really would encourage parents to, with your children, figure out what age you expect your kid to make the bed, make them make the bed. And if you want them to learn how to cook, then teach them. But they have to take responsibility the way they would if they didn't have spina bifida, because then you fall into the trap that I did of where I had to learn as an 18, 19, and 20-year-old. And that's a hassle when you're trying to do college classes and not starve. And in my case, in all sincerity, instead of learning how to cook, I ordered pizza and then gained 60 pounds my freshman year. I mean, you know, it was just so many negatives that at least though at my age now, I can look back at it and tell parents, don't be like my family, you know. Teach your children responsibility and teach them how to take care of their medical needs, but also how to just make the bed. It's so important.
Eric Tobin wants you to know, Donna, that you're the best. Thank you.
I love Eric Tobin. Everybody should know Eric Tobin.
I agree. Everybody should know Eric Tobin. Maybe Eric Tobin will join us one of these days.
I hope so.
In an education day as a panelist.
He's amazing. Parents, truly, if I really would encourage parents, if you allow me one thing, to please just look for us on social media, both on Facebook and Instagram. Just search the hashtag Spina Bifida. The Spina Bifida Association can put you in touch with me. If you can find Eric, I highly recommend that you stalk him. He's amazing and smart and hardworking and funny and incredibly independent. And he's a great mentor, that's for sure. I enjoy him very much.
Great.
Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to complete the evaluation. We really need your feedback, and look forward to hearing from you about that.
Yeah. And just one thought on the evaluations. If you don't get a chance to do it now, oh, please try. But if you can't, I will send an email to all of you with that link. So please, please, please fill it out when you see it. Oh, yes, and then we also have the rest of our days, the rest of the virtual education days. Please join us if you can. You're welcome to join us, and those are the upcoming education days, virtual education days.
Have a great afternoon. Bye.